there was this one girl I didn't like, so I signed up her phone number for like all these like porn sites and stuff, and like I sent her for Craigslist so she would get a bunch of phone calls. I had a crush on someone and then she got with him before I could, so it pissed me off.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Bunny Hugs and Mental Health, free, safe space for people to share and learn from others' experiences with mental health and addictions. I'm Todd Runnebaum, suicide attempt survivor and a recovering substance abuser. Welcome to this week's show. Thank you for listening. This week I'm speaking with Cherry, and Cherry has been diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. Some people call it sociopath, psychopath. They all mean something a little different, and it depends who you talk to. I'm still not 100% sure what it means, but antisocial personality disorder is considered a cluster B personality disorder. We kind of talk about that in the interview here. We kind of bring up some other ones. There's narcissistic personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and borderline personality disorder. Those are all considered cluster Bs. So there's a lot of the symptoms and characteristics, a lot of crossovers and stuff. So anyway, there's a little background for you before we get into the episode. Thank you so much for everyone that's been leaving ratings and reviews. That's amazing. I can't express just how important that is for podcasters to get that stuff. So please, if you have been enjoying any of the episodes at all, please just take a quick moment and do that on Apple Podcasts or iPodcasts. I don't know what it's called. Even if you only listen to it on Spotify, go on to app and do that. If you have an iPhone, it's right on your screen. The app, it's a little purple thing. I can't explain what it looks like. But anyway, go on there and do that for me. That'd be wicked awesome. Thank you to everyone that's been buying me a coffee. It's so very much appreciated. You can find Buy Me a Coffee, Bunny Hugs Podcast, I think. Or you can just go to my website. There's a thing there up in the menu to do that. You can even set it so that it takes out whatever it is, a coffee a month. Oh, that would be really, really nice of you if you did that. Because when you're doing that, you're basically helping provide a free mental health service. A little while ago, I got an incredible message, I guess, from a listener, and I'm going to read it at the end of this episode. I'd like to share it. It'll explain why this podcast is so important for other people and why I will never make people pay to listen to it, unless of course you want to, and why I think you should share and let everyone know that this podcast exists. So anyway, that'll be at the end of the show. But for now, I'm going to speak with Cherry about her antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD. So without further ado, I give you Cherry. 20 years old, and you've just recently been diagnosed with, what's the short form?
ASPD? Yes, I got diagnosed actually 2 years ago, so I was 18 and a half. This happened around December.
They generally don't diagnose anyone with a cluster B under 18. Is that right?
Correct. Yes. I know BPD, they can, but ASPD is only 18 plus.
What'd you think of that diagnosis?
I agreed with it. I wasn't even surprised because when I was a kid, I used to joke around to my friends and family, be like, oh, I probably am a sociopath. And then I found out I was one. I was like, you know what? It all adds up now.
What made you think that you were a sociopath?
Well, since I was a kid, I always had like very dark thoughts, and the way I reacted to things like wasn't normal. Like I was always prone to like violence. Whenever someone made me mad, I would often go to the lowest of the low. I remember there was this girl like I didn't like, so I beat her up with a computer when I was 14, which led to my diagnosis of conduct disorder.
Conduct disorder?
Yeah, conduct disorder. That's what you get before it's ASPD at 14. Because when you're a kid, you can't get ASPD, so they just changed the name of it.
Do you know why they don't diagnose someone under 18?
Yeah, because you're still like growing, and like you can like still like change because the brain doesn't develop till like much later. So even like at 18, they were still like a little bit hesitant because technically your brain doesn't develop fully until you're 25. But they thought that by then the symptoms just still like they still stayed the same. So they were like, okay, we'll change it to ASPD.
Oh, so I mean, you could have, I don't know, like grown out of it, I guess, or it could have developed into some other kind of personality disorder or something like that. That's why they wait.
Exactly.
I gotta say, even like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, there was no one with cluster Bs that were like open. And now there's like full communities on social media, and like that's how I met you. You were doing a live on TikTok, and do you think, I don't know, like why has the stigma changed, or why are people less likely to keep it a secret?
So I think now, because it's 2025, like the more people speak up about mental health, like the more like others want to join in. They're like, oh, this person is so honest. I want to help break the stigma, and I want to show people that we're not all these crazy, dangerous people. Because at first, when I joined the Cluster B TikTok, there was only like a few other sociopaths, and now there's like 10 others that I didn't even know of until like recently. And I think mainly it's the reason because mental health, it was always so stigmatized, but now they kind of want to show the world that we're just like normal people, and like they want to clear up the misconceptions, because when you think of ASPD, you think of like serial killers, but that's not the case.
Yeah, that's not the case. They more like beat the shit out of girls with computers. No, I'm sorry, I'm just teasing you. But
it's fun.
So what were the symptoms, or what was it about you that they came to the conclusion?
So lacking guilt, empathy, remorse was the main one, because we do lack certain emotions. The other one was not caring about my safety or the safety of others. That's another thing in DSM, and that referred to me. Another symptom for me was not wanting to follow like societal norms, like not caring about what other people thought of me. I didn't want to listen to authority, and a lot of kids at that age, they have like oppositional defiance disorder. So they kind of like think that, oh, they'll grow out of it, but like I never did.
Yeah, I don't think I grew out of that one either. But mine's more subtle. Like when you think of movies and stuff, you think of the serial killers. And are some serial killers diagnosed with ASPD?
Yeah, they definitely can be. Yeah. There are sociopaths and psychopaths who are in prison for heinous crimes, but it's also a spectrum. That's the thing.
I mean, you don't have to be a killer to have ASPD, but you also can have ASPD and not be a serial killer. Mm-hmm. I know with other cluster B personality disorders, a lot of times there's trauma in that person's, early life and childhood, and that kind of sets the ball rolling for personality disorders. Was there any kind of traumas in your life, or was it just, that's how my brain is?
Mm-hmm. So there was traumas, like I would say this was environmental, so like neglect, some emotional abuse. But I also think at the same time I was kind of predispositioned to have it because we have NPD in the family. So like when there's a personality disorder that runs in the family, usually the kids will have something like ASPD or BPD. NPD
is narcissistic personality disorder. Sorry, I keep using abbreviations. Yeah. Some people don't know what the hell we're talking about, but so that runs in your family, the NPD.
Mm-hmm, yes, on my mom's side, yeah.
Was it your mom, or your grandma or grandpa, or
my mom? Yeah,
generations.
But it could go back generations. Like I would have to look in to find family history.
So I wonder if she had some kind of trauma too, and then like that's something people don't realize. Like intergenerational trauma includes things like personality disorders. Yeah. What was I going to say? Sorry, I have ADHD.
I do too, inattentive. I get that.
I'll have 1,000 questions in my brain, and then I'll forget them all when it's time to ask them. Oh, do you have siblings?
I'm an only child.
Oh. Have you noticed any negative comments or anything online by talking about this?
Yes. Yeah, so people often say, they're like, you're a horrible person because you don't have any empathy. I bet you have no friends. Sociopaths can't love. That's impossible. And then they're like, I bet all your relationships are just transactional, just like stupid, silly comments like that.
And are they 100% wrong?
Yeah, most of the time, because as sociopaths, we actually can love. We can love our exception. That's the one person we can feel true love for. And although we don't like have much empathy, it's more of a lack of empathy than no empathy. I have cognitive empathy, which means that I can understand, but I don't feel.
Oh, so you grasp the concept of empathy, you just don't feel it.
Yep.
So if I were like just to drop dead right now, you'd be like, oh, well,
Well, yeah,
You'd be like, I get why someone would be upset, but I'm not.
exactly.
Have you had relationships in the past that were transactional?
I have, yes.
Maybe you didn't even realize it at the time, but you look back now and think, oh, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Because there was this one girl who I wasn't close friends with. I just used her for like entertainment because she would take me places. She also had a car, so she would give me free rides. And I didn't realize it at the time. But then later I looked back on it. I was like, yeah, I didn't like her that much. So it didn't make sense why I was hanging out with her like every weekend.
Does she know that now?
She doesn't know that now, no. But we don't talk much anymore.
Oh, okay. So it just kind of fizzled out anyway.
Yeah.
So because you're in a bit of a community online now, what are some of the major things that you and other cluster B personalities like discuss that non-cluster B people maybe wouldn't understand? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, discussions, like topics and stuff. So, for example, I talk a lot about with like the narcissists about how we care about certain things. For example, we care a lot about our reputation. Sociopaths and narcs both can. People often think that we don't care about anything, but we do. And for example, my narc friend was telling me about how they feel a lot of shame and guilt. And then I was telling them how I lack those emotions. So we were having like a cluster B conversation about like the differences.
You lack empathy, but have you ever almost felt empathy for like other cluster B people that like have gone through the same shit as you?
I have for one person in the cluster B community, one of my best friends, when they were going through a tough time. I just felt really bad. I wanted to be there for them.
Oh, that's good. When you see I don't know, was it a psychologist or psychiatrist?
Psychiatrist, yeah.
Is there some kind of treatment you go through?
So I was connected later to a therapist, and I had DBT skills, so I learned those. Dialect behavior therapy skills, which can also be beneficial for other personality disorders. I did that for a year, so now I don't go to therapy anymore. I do group therapy for sociopaths.
Oh, okay. Oh, group therapy. Oh, that's interesting. Did you find the group therapy more effective than just one-on-one?
Yeah, I like group therapy way more because I met other people I can connect with and relate to. And it's always like we're always welcome to share something from our lives. We can fully unmask, which I like about that. But with my therapist, sometimes I would feel like I had to like walk on eggshells because if I talk about hurting someone, she could report me. So that was a big issue because she was like, I can report this to like the police or whatever if you become like a danger to someone. So I had to watch out what I had to say.
But in group therapy, you can
fully unmask, yeah.
You can all talk about hurting people.
Yeah.
I'm laughing, but no, it's true though. It's like when I was in treatment for addictions, it's like you can talk about your worst parts of yourself and everyone relates and it makes it less shameful.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes you feel like I have a community there. Very comfortable, like a safe space.
This is something that no one ever really talks about. People talk about having suicidal thoughts. Very few people talk about homicidal thoughts. And when I was a kid, sometimes I'd fall asleep fantasizing about murdering people I hated. Is that true for you?
Yes, I had a hit list when I was like in 4th grade. I made a hit list of all the people who like pissed me off just slightly. Like someone would say something like just like slightly rude. I would be like, they're on the hit list. I want them to die.
Wow. Do you actually have a written list?
Yeah, it was written list. Like I had like a journal and a diary, and then I would write gruesome stuff and make like these drawings of me killing them in like 3rd and 4th grade.
And did your parents find them?
Yeah. I showed it to my mom, and then she was like, "Oh, this is actually funny." Like she didn't even bat an eyelash at that. She was just like, "That's so something you would do." She wasn't even surprised.
Huh. So that wasn't like a red flag for her, like, I should maybe get Cherry some help here.
Yeah, she just dismissed it.
I mean, I guess if she has NPD, then I guess your judgment's a little clouded anyway.
True.
Was your dad around?
Yeah, he was around. But he didn't look deeply into like my mental health because I was closest to my mom at the time.
I know a lot of people, they don't like when you talk about mental health, you talk about depression, anxiety and stuff, but cluster B stuff is more like a mental illness and less about mental health, but I disagree because I'm assuming with cluster Bs, you also feel anxiety and depression and some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I have major depressive disorder. So that's why I tell people, and then they're like, sociopaths can be depressed. I'm like, we still feel emotions. We're not robots.
And what causes the depression? Does it go hand in hand with the ASPD?
Yes, because ASPDs, we feel a lot of chronic boredom and emptiness, and that contributes to my depression. But also, I hate where I live. I live in Illinois. I hate it here, and it's always depressing. I just don't like the cold weather, and the seasonal depression makes it like even worse. So it's mostly environmental, situational, because I remember when I was on vacation or hanging out with my cluster B friends, like my depression symptoms, they went away. Like they were gone. I was very productive that week.
Where was that?
So I remember I went to Ohio to see my cluster B friend during the summer, and then it was Jacob. And then,
I see.
And then my friend Ash came a couple weeks ago. We hung out. He's another border narc.
Border narc. Is that borderline personality disorder?
Yeah, borderline personality and narcissistic.
That's funny that you're diagnosed with both. And I think partly because there's so much crossover, maybe they're having trouble picking one. So they're like, you're just cluster B. It's like, I don't know, you're just in this pile. So you can be both.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no medication you take for antisocial personality disorder, is there?
No, I just take meds for depression and ADHD. That's all.
Right. What do you take for your ADHD?
Adderall.
Oh, I'm a Concerta man myself. Do you take it every day?
I do take it every day. I have to, or else I can't function. My brain is all over the place. I'll be forgetting things. I'll be easily distracted.
Same. I actually cannot stay awake if I don't take mine. I mean, it is a stimulant. I don't know if it's just withdrawal, why I can't stay awake or what it is. But so that's cool that you and Jacob met. For the people that are listening, I interviewed a fellow named Jacob. And he is a narcissist, and I like that you guys call each other narcs and stuff. You just short form it.
Narcs, yeah.
Would someone with narcissism, personality disorder, dislike that, you think, if a normie called them a narc?
I don't think so. They mind, because it's just like a short term. Everyone just says narc.
Okay. What's the short term for ASPD?
I like to say sociopath. Some people say antisocial. I don't like antisocial because they think we don't want to socialize. Yeah,
that is a weird name. Because it sounds like some of your best days you were just talking about was like connecting with people, and being in group therapy is connection. So that's not antisocial at all.
Yeah, no, I'm an extrovert. But when they meant antisocial, they meant anti-society.
Right, yeah. But it is kind of confusing. What's something that you want people to know?
Ooh, I want to talk about the exception, because people don't talk about that as much with ASPD.
Please.
So the exception is the one person that we can truly feel love for and empathy for. Is kind of like the once in a lifetime connection. I've only ever had one exception. I don't know if I'll have another one. But it's kind of like it's my best friend Pixie.
Pixie and Cherry.
Yeah, Pixie Fox. You may know of her. She was famous back in the day.
What? How so?
So she got like a bunch of plastic surgery, and she went on those like talk shows, and she got a lot of publicity from that.
Pixie, what's her last name?
Fox.
And how'd you guys become friends?
I messaged her on Instagram. I didn't think she would reply, but she did. So I used my sociopathic charm to be her friend, and we just clicked so well. And then we met in person a couple of years later.
And you're still best friends?
We're still best friends. We talk every morning.
Wow. And that's the only person you feel empathy for and
yes,
real strong connection with. Well, no, you can have strong connections with other people, but not as strong as hers.
Yeah. If she's sad, then I'll be sad for her. Or if she's going through a tough time, like I will literally feel it. It's so weird. I've never felt like that with anyone before.
Could you grow to do that for other people?
I don't think I could, because it has to just happen like naturally. I just have to feel that intense connection. The most empathy I felt for was for my one narc friend when he was going through a hard time. Like I felt like more than I normally would for a friend, but that was the best it got, because it has to be an exception I can feel real empathy for. Weird.
Does it have to be anything extreme for Pixie for you to feel it, or can it even just be like a normal kind of everyday sad and you're like, oh, that's too bad?
Yeah, it can be like a normal everyday sad. Or I remember when she was going through a tough time because she had to get this like surgery done for like her health or whatever. I was like so scared. Like I was checking my phone every hour. I was like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Like I just could not relax until I knew that she was all right.
Well, that's good that you can feel empathy, and you know what it would be like if you started feeling empathy for someone else.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting. I mean, even for me, I feel empathy for people, but Only certain people.
Yeah.
I mean, more
Only certain people. Yeah.
more than one. But well, now I'm curious about Pixie Fox. I wonder if I should get her on the podcast.
Yeah, she's a cool person. She did a lot of TV shows and interviews.
Because she was doing body modification?
Yeah, that's what it was. Like, she was the first one to remove 6 ribs. It was a big deal back then.
Yeah. It's still kind of a big deal now, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, but now it's like more common to do plastic surgery.
Why would people want to get their ribs removed?
Yeah, she wanted to have like the smallest waist and like break a world record. But now she regrets half the stuff she did. She was like, I wish I wasn't that like impulsive, because when she was young, she did a lot of crazy things.
Is impulse a thing with ASPD too?
Yes, we are very, very impulsive people. Sometimes we don't even think before we speak or we do something, especially when we're angry. When I'm angry, I used to throw things, lash out, just say whatever came to mind.
Have you hurt people in the past, physically?
Not physically, unless like it was that one classmate, like at school, like I was getting into fights. But if it was like a friend or family member, I just would just use my words and just say something in the moment that would probably hurt them. But later I apologized.
Have you regretted saying those things in the past? Or
I have. I can feel some form of regret. Yes. If it's someone I care about that I hurt, I'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
That's kind of like empathy.
Yeah. In my own way. Yeah.
Ish.
I actually wanted to recommend like a movie that actually accurately depicts ASPD, because there's no movies that accurately depict it until this one I saw. It was called Anger Goes West. It's about a girl who wants to befriend this very big famous influencer. So to do that, she steals her dog. And then she brings it back to her so she can get the conversation starting. She's very cold and calculated, which is very sociopathic, because we always think ahead, we plan ahead. And this girl, she had like no regret or remorse. When that influencer told her that she didn't want to be friends anymore, she went as far as to like kidnapping her brother and beating him up like in a desert. It was insane. And I'm just like, this is so me coded.
So that's accurate for you, that movie?
Yeah, very accurate. The way she thinks.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But you would never go that far, I guess?
No, I wouldn't. No, not to that point. But like, have I thought of it? Yes.
So do you think the character in the movie, were they diagnosed with ASPD?
So they weren't diagnosed, but it was very suspected, because if you look it up, everyone will be like, oh, she has ASPD, very ASPD.
Right.
Este episodio es presentado por Honda. Descubra la nueva Honda Passport Trailsport todoterreno. La Passport más todoterreno que Honda haya imaginado jamás. Esta Passport cuenta con mayor altura al suelo, barras de techo en todas sus versiones y neumáticas especialmente diseñados para cualquier terreno. Además, disfruta todos tus viajes con el control de clima de 3 zonas, techo panorámico y opciones como asientos delanteros con calefacción y ventilación. Conoce más en honda.com/passport.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate Pina Colada and Thai iced coffee flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Love, exciting and new. Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever. It's a love.
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships of Bermudan and British Registry.
So probably the biggest thing for you is having that diagnosis. So now you're self-aware and you're able to like not take it to those extremes. Is that fair?
Exactly. Yeah. Because the more self-aware I became, the more I would like think before I spoke. I would think ahead. And also like the medication, because I take Wellbutrin for my depression, it kind of mellows out my emotions. So I don't feel as intensely as I used to. I can't even cry if I want to.
Right. So you're like a toned down version.
Yeah, I'm the calm sociopath. I'm just a chill socio.
That should be your name, chill sociopath. In the past, have you schemed like that where you were planning, okay, I want to be this person's friend or whatever it was, and then like...
Yeah, all the time. If I saw someone I thought that was like super cool, I would just think about what I wanted to say to them, and I would walk up to them. I would approach them, just like I do with Pixie. I was like, this girl is cool because I saw her on TV, and I was like, I'm going to be her friend. And I made her my best friend, like just like I predicted in my head.
So what was part of your plan?
I was like, okay, I'm going to message this girl. I'm going to ask her like about herself, introduce myself, just send her like some pictures, ask her for her Snapchat. And that's exactly what I did. And she reciprocated. She sent me like voice messages every day. When I was at school, we video chatted every time I had lunch. Like she would talk to me for a whole hour. It went like better than I expected. But also like she's a very friendly person, very genuine, especially to her fans. Like she talks to everyone. So I think that's part of it too. I just got lucky.
Are most people with ASPD have some kind of charm?
We do. Yeah. We are very charming and charismatic. And I hate how people assume that we don't care about anything because, for example, I care a lot about my appearance. I care about the way I present myself online. I want to appear a certain way. And I just got so angry when someone was like, sociopaths can't get plastic surgery. Like, they don't care about their looks. I was like, yeah, but I do. Maybe some socios don't, but I do.
Right. Well, that's the thing with being diagnosed with any kind of cluster B. So if there's like 10 symptoms, you only need 5 of those 10 to be diagnosed possibly. I don't have those numbers right, but you don't need to have every symptom or every characteristic, right? So it is a spectrum, and some people have absolutely no empathy, and some can have empathy for others, and vice versa or whatever. What's the most interesting part of being antisocial?
The interesting part, I would say, is how most of us, we typically don't have any like social anxiety. We thrive so well in social situations, or if we're having a job interview, we know exactly what to say to make people like us. Some of us are very high masking. For example, me, I would consider myself high functioning / high masking.
Because you've been diagnosed and you're self-aware, or even before?
Because I'm self-aware, but also it's just my personality naturally. I always knew what was appropriate or not to say in certain situations.
Oh, so you could be really schemy then.
I could, yeah.
What's the biggest thing you maybe regret, or your biggest scheme that you ever did before becoming self-aware?
So this actually happened not too long ago, but I had a group chat, and there was this one girl I didn't like, so I signed up her phone number for like all these like porn sites and stuff, and like I sent her for Craigslist so she would get a bunch of phone calls. And then she later found out it was me somehow because someone leaked my group chat. So then I thought to myself, I should become more careful before I let into my social circle because there's a lot of snitches out there.
So, so at first you didn't go, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. Your first thought was, I have to be careful.
Yeah, who I let into my circle.
So do you regret it because you got caught, or do you regret it because you're like, oh, that really kind of fucked that person's life up for a bit?
Mostly because I got caught, but now me and the girl are cool. So today I would be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that because she didn't deserve that.
Huh. What did she do? Do you mind me asking?
So, basically I had a crush on someone and then she got with him before I could. So it pissed me off.
I should be laughing, but I mean,
it's funny.
I mean, even with this disorder, like, I'm assuming it's not, you don't enjoy having this disorder, right? I mean, it's a disorder.
No.
Like, what are some of the things that you really dislike about having this?
I hate the anger, and I hate constantly feeling like empty, switching from hobby to hobby because nothing can make me too happy for long. Struggling to form emotional connections with people. For example, when I fully unmask, some people don't want to be my friend. Like last year, I lost a few friends because when they found out the true version of me, they were like, "Oh my God, that's disgusting. How could you say it about someone?" But luckily now I found my true people who are either just like me, they have sadistic thoughts, or they're just very accepting.
It's one of the two. They're either very, well, I guess, yeah. I mean, so that's the one thing about me in the podcast is like I'm very non-judgmental. It's like, hey, we're all just trying to get along. We're just trying to get through our days here. I don't think I would have. I mean, I might have the odd sadistic thought, but generally I don't. Anyway, I'm assuming you're masking now? I'm
not masking. Like, I'm generally just happy to talk and just say what's on my mind.
Okay. If you were unmasking, I don't know what am I trying to say here? I'm just curious what some of the worst thoughts you've had and some of the reactions maybe that you had.
Yeah, because I used to talk about like killing people in detail, like in very like gruesome detail in the group chats. And then someone was like, "That's too far, bro, too far." And then this other girl was like, "That's actually disgusting. You would make fun of someone," because I made fun of this girl for her appearance or whatever. And she was like, "No, that's not okay to do for something they can't even control." And then people started like leaving like one by one because they couldn't handle me just being mean to another person. I was like, "What's it to you if I'm mean to someone? Like, I'm nice to you. Why do you care how I treat other people?"
Why did you want to kill the other person?
So they actually did do something. They talked behind my back. And they did talk behind my friends' backs. But the other people thought that what I was saying was like too far. They're like, "Be the better person." I was like, "I don't want to be the better person here. Okay." I'm going to go low.
I want to pull their fingernails out. Like, was it torturous?
Yeah. Torturous. Yeah. Like tying them to a tree and then like cutting them up and stuff like that.
I mean, if I was in that group chat, I'd probably freak out too. But if I knew you were diagnosed with something, were you diagnosed at that point? And they knew? I
was. They all knew. That's how the Cluster B group chat was made, because it was all Cluster Bs.
These were other Cluster B people saying too far?
Yeah, it was the borderlines. Some borderlines can be very, very dramatic. And I love my BPD besties. Like, I love some borderlines, but like there's like half and half. It's either really good or really bad.
Right, depending what characteristics they have of which crossovers they have. Again, I don't mean to laugh, but it is kind of interesting how even within the Cluster B community there can be these tensions and there's like cliques, and it sounds like to me maybe they were masking too.
Probably, because I remember when I was making some jokes and stuff, yeah, they went along with what I was saying. They didn't stand up. They just enabled me, or they encouraged it. They were laughing with me. But the moment like I got exposed, they're like, "Oh, I can't be associated with you. It looks bad." Which I thought was really silly, because I'm like, you guys said heinous things too. You're just saying it when it benefits you, to act all innocent.
Did you say that to them?
Yeah, I did.
No one responded, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no one really replied. They either like blocked me, and I was like, it's whatever. I don't need those people in my life, because now I have true friends.
So what other Cluster B personality disorders do you find you connect with the best? I mean, obviously other ASPDs, but...
Yeah. Also, well, I have a friend. She has HPD, histrionic, and ASPD at the same time. And we're a lot alike. We like the same things. We care a lot about how we look, how we present ourselves. She also fully unmasked. She has the same dark thoughts I have. So I knew I could fully trust this girl because she started unmasking first with me. And those were the same kind of thoughts I would have. So then I was like, okay, she's a keeper. She's going to be my friend for life. I know it.
Yeah, that's... I talked to someone with histrionic personality disorder. Well, they have a lot of stuff going on, but that's an interesting one too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more like around sexuality and stuff, and they're very...
Attention seeking, yeah, wanting to be the center of attention.
Okay, so I've been in the psych ward before, and I've seen relationships form in the psych ward, and then like outside the psych ward, it's like very unhealthy. They enable each other, and it's like, oh, this isn't good. And they say they're there for each other for support and peer support and stuff, but without a healthy person being there, they can like really bring out the worst in each other. Have you noticed anything like that with any of your group chats?
Yes. Because, for example, when I'm with my Bornarch friend and we're sharing our thoughts and our sadistic like tendencies, we were talking about like torturing people, and it just got worse and worse. So I thought we're just making our like symptoms just come out, and we're not helping each other. It's just all enabling and encouraging this kind of behavior. And I always think, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have a group chat of cluster Bs, because it usually doesn't end well.
So at least you were able to recognize that it wasn't going well. Did he notice that too? And then you guys were like, maybe we should tone it down, or what happened?
So he said, he was like, oh no, I have no shame. He was like, I don't care if this group chat gets exposed. He was like, this is like who I am. I was joking. I was like, yeah, me too. I was like, I already got canceled on TikTok multiple times. It's okay. And it's only a group of 5 people in there. We're keeping it very small now. It used to be like 20 people in the last group, and now it's only 4.
Out of the 4 or 5 people, there's one voice of reason that's like, this isn't healthy. We're kind of getting off the handle here a bit.
Yeah. There's always that one person who's just like, oh, can we switch to a different topic?
Right. Oh, that's good. So in group therapy, have you become friends with anybody because I'm assuming you do it in person, your group therapy?
It's actually online through Zoom. So it's like different people each time, but they say not to like make friends, because it usually, because of our like behaviors and stuff, they just don't want anything to happen that's kind of extreme, because when a sociopath connects with a sociopath, who knows what can happen? They commit like another crime.
Right.
So they're like, keep it within group.
Right. Plus, people can get hurt. I've seen people get it turns into romantic relationships and stuff. Mm-hmm. Have you had any romantic relationships with other cluster Bs?
Not other cluster Bs, but I've had with neurotypicals, and most of the time, like when they left or I left, like I didn't feel sad, because they were not an exception. So, for example, when someone breaks up with me, I don't like sit on the floor crying. I move on with my day.
Have you broken hearts? Other people's hearts?
Oh, I have, yeah. Or someone was telling me that they're interested in me. I was like, no, I just don't feel the same. I was like, sorry, buddy.
Wow. Okay, that's fair. Are you gentle about it, or are you like, get the fuck out of here?
I'm not an ass. No, I'm not an ass for no reason. I'm only mean to people who I think deserve it. I just break it down like, hey, I'm just not interested, but I'm flattered, honestly.
And when people have broken up with you, have they given you reasons why? And were those reasons partly because of your ASPD?
Yeah, sometimes it could be my ASPD. They're like, you're just too much for me. I just can't handle it. And they're worried that I would like get them into something bad at one point, and they would be caught in the middle.
In your group therapies, has anyone ever said anything that like even shocked you?
Well, there was like a person who committed a crime when like there was like an assault charge. And then I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, some of these people, they're actually like psychopaths, because we have people on all ends of the spectrum. So I was like, I'm pretty mild compared to some of these people.
Another good reason for group therapy. You'd be like, I'm actually okay. So is there a difference between antisocial personality disorder, sociopath, and psychopath?
Yes. So sociopath and psychopath are more like profiles. Like you have to go through like a court system usually to get that, because those aren't diagnoses anymore. They're outdated. So psychopath is like the most severe. They do feel some emotion, but it's very, very, very limited, and they don't think like we do. And another thing about like sociopaths is we're in the middle, I would say. Like we're not severe, but not like super, super, like high functioning. I became high functioning through being self-aware, but it wasn't always like that. And then ASPD is just like plain old antisocial personality disorder, like no crimes. Usually they're not violent. It's the tame side.
So what was your darkest time like when you were most heavily involved with your traits, characteristics?
I would say in high school before my official diagnosis, because that's the events that led me to getting the real one. When I would get into fights constantly, even when I was like in 3rd grade, it started like that early, when I would write a death note to someone, like a death threat, because this girl picked my friend to be her partner for a project. And I was so angry at that. I was like, that's my friend. So that's how it started. Just like threatening people. I didn't even like think before I said something. I would just say it. And it got me in trouble a lot of the time.
If you weren't diagnosed and seeing therapists or psychiatrists or whatever since you were younger, where do you think your life would be right now?
I don't think I would be honestly in prison, but I'd be struggling a lot. Like I probably wouldn't be able to hold down a job because I couldn't mask high enough. For example, I'll probably go off on a customer.
Right. Well, you never know. It sounded like you were a little more violent back then, and maybe, I guess it all depends. I mean, who knows? I
want to talk about like sociopaths and work because that's a big one. Like no one talks about how sociopaths can be in your workplace and you don't even know it because some of them can be so good at masking. It just seems like an everyday person. My friend actually made a joke. He was like, you seem like this really nice, like innocent girl. And it's scary because people don't know what's underneath the mask.
Scary.
Like I used to work with kids. I had to mask hard every day because those kids pissed me off to no end, but I had to keep it together and I did. And I showed up like 5 days a week. Like I was always there. I was a really good worker. They liked me over there.
Yeah. So they're good. Yeah. I mean, now I wonder how many people I know or have known that were diagnosed with ASPD. Because I mean, especially like I said, it's only within recently that people that are diagnosed talk about it, probably a lot.
Yeah. It's common, actually. It's more than 200,000 U.S. cases per year.
I wonder what percent that is of the population. 1%?
1%. So yeah, every 100 people, there's one person who has it.
Well, I've probably worked with quite a few then. Well, what's your dream job?
My dream job would probably be real estate, which I think is a good job for sociopaths because we can be very convincing, we can be social, charismatic, and we can get people like to buy the house. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've been manipulated by salespeople in the past.
Oh, yeah. They can be very, very manipulative.
Real estate, eh? Do you watch those real estate shows where it's like the $1 million listing of wherever?
Yes. I love those.
Do you recognize some of them as like, I bet you that one's got ASPD or narcissism?
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, yeah. I was like, they give me ASPD vibes or narc vibes. But my main dream was always just to be famous, just to be like an influencer on social media because I have some narc traits. So it gives me some supply when people compliment me. It makes me feel so good.
Oh, well, you seem very nice and you're pretty and you're smart.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I can be nice like to people. I can be nice to people I get along with or people I think are cool. Like if you're nice to me, I'll be nice back. But the moment someone makes me angry, that's when it all goes down.
So if I'm ever going to get in a fight, I need like a narc or an ASPD person on my side.
Yes, we're the best for those.
I just can't piss them off later.
Yeah, just don't piss them off later. Yeah, because I tell people, I was like, just don't piss off your sociopath friends. Or something I hate is when people make false promises. That's something that really sets me off. Because this girl I was planning a trip with for 6 months, 2 weeks before she backs out, she gives me the most BS excuses. So I go off. Like, I'm done with this bitch at this point. And then she's like, you're so mean. Like, how could you say that to me? I thought we were friends. I was like, well, you gave me false hope. You made promises that you couldn't keep. I was like, why do that? I'd rather someone just be honest with me. I really respect honesty in a friendship.
Do you ever watch The Real Housewives of whatever cities? Do you get the same feeling?
Beverly Hills. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I do too. Every time my wife watches it, I'm walking through, I'm like, this is cluster B people going off on each other.
Yeah, I was always thinking we should have a reality show. We should have a reality show or like a cluster B house.
Well, there you go. There's your claim to fame. Go talk to Bravo.
Yeah, we could have like a TLC show, day in the life of the cluster Bs.
Or a YouTube channel and have it blow up. There you go. Get some of your cluster B friends and live together. Just record it.
Narcs, sociopaths, borderlines, chaotic. We love it.
Histrionics,
yeah.
And one normie.
Yeah, one neurotypical that has to see all of it go down. It's just caught in the middle of the cluster B drama.
Oh my God. I would watch that. I think you're onto something.
I think a lot of people would. Yeah, I think it would be like a successful show because no one like talks about cluster B personality disorders on TV. I don't see much of it.
Yeah, you're onto something. Go talk to, what's his name? Andy Cohen.
Ooh, yeah. Sounds good.
he probably has cluster B too.
Yeah. And I also wanted to mention like about the ADHD and ASPD because those go hand in hand. Sometimes I just don't know which one is doing its thing because I used to just like want chaos around me. Like I would have the urge to start a fight or just to feel something. And then someone told me that was an ADHD symptom as well. So I didn't realize that. I was like, you're onto something, because at the time I just thought it was only my ASPD acting up.
Well, it's, most people, maybe every person I've talked to that's been diagnosed with cluster B also had ADHD. So that's interesting that's comorbidity, they call it. But you're more likely to have ADHD if you have cluster B than have cluster B if you have ADHD.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you wanted to promote or anything, like your TikTok or any?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I wrote a book.
What?
Yeah, it's called Charmed Life. Hold on, I have it right here.
That should have been the first thing you should. Who's that? Is that you?
It's an AI. It's AI. It's literally like going to be me when I'm older, but that's what it made. And then there's like me on the back about the author.
Ooh.
So yeah, I wrote a book called Charmed Life. It's on Amazon for $12.99 paperback.
What's it about?
So it's about a woman. Her name is Claire. She's 40 years old. She moves with her daughter to this town in Rhode Island, Newport. And then she starts like her new job there at the publishing company. She meets this guy who's their neighbor. His name is Daniel, and they hit it off. He's very like charming and charismatic. They end up getting married, but the daughter does not like him. She has like a weird feeling about him. She thinks that he's sketchy. Later on, the mom and him go on a camping trip, and he's also like throughout the book he becomes abusive. And Daniel, he never comes back from the camping trip. Because the mom kills him, but she tells the daughter an accident happened. So the daughter goes to investigate. She finds out her mom is a diagnosed sociopath, but the mom like claims that she's just bipolar type 2, as an excuse for her like odd behavior sometimes and being impulsive.
I love it. I thought you were going to be like, oh, it's about my childhood and my experience with, but no, it's fictional.
It's fictional, yeah. It was based on a dream I had. Like, I had this really weird dream about a sociopath. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this into a book.
Have you heard of Dirty John?
No, I haven't.
Started off as a podcast and then documentary, and then there's a TV show on Netflix about it. And it's like a woman who starts dating a younger guy, and it's a true story. And then he becomes abusive and starts controlling her and whatever, and then like starts like being like really abusive. And anyway, the one daughter doesn't like him, and he ends up trying to kill the daughter at one point, and she like gets the knife away from him and like stabs and kills him.
Ooh. That's dark. Something I would enjoy.
But yeah, it's a true story. And I talked to the daughter, the girl that stabbed him and killed him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seemed really cool, like something that I would enjoy, because I love Lifetime movies, like those Lifetime movies about sociopaths and psychopaths and thrillers. So this kind of inspired my book too, because I used to watch a lot of those.
Even though they don't portray sociopaths.
Even though they don't, it's just funny to see.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Cherry. You are charming, and you're very brave to be just open and honest about all this stuff. Like I said, it's not too many people do that or have done it, so it's nice that people are doing it now. So thank you so much for this. Okay, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I want to share a letter I got, a note, a message. So this was back in November. Just kind of decided to share it now for whatever reason, but here we go. Thank you so much for what you are doing for everyone who needs it. I love hearing what your guests have to say every week. But further than that, I admire you so much as a person for overcoming such hardships as addiction and suicidal ideations, and deciding to not only overcome it, but also to achieve doing something meaningful out of your experience to help others and to learn about yourself. I can honestly say that your podcast is a main factor that encouraged me to keep going and bring others up with me. When I discovered your podcast, I was homeless, living in a moldy car, and had just witnessed my best friend pass away from an overdose on a recluse part of Vancouver Island that couldn't have any proximity to Narcan or a hospital. It took 2 days for emergency services to take the body away. I was in all kinds of hurt, and although I never suffered from addiction, I was really wondering about how this life could ever be something more than senseless hardships in a position where I felt nobody who lived such a life could ever get better. Hearing you and your guests having had such hard experiences and deciding to do something anyways to uplift themselves and others convinced me that life could be better. I now work in a safe injection mobile site. I picked up mechanic school even if my gender isn't wildly represented in my school, and I now have a non-profit to give people without a home warm clothes all year long. I even now have a team of 20 plus volunteers that are just as excited as I am to be involved. Thank you so much for giving me hope when I had none. So there you go. There is some proof that this podcast really is a free mental health service, and it's helping people. Thank you to my guests and to all the listeners that share and rate and review, all the stuff that helps. And let's keep it going. If you haven't shared or liked or reviewed or rated or all that stuff, please let people know that this is here. And before I go, thank you, Carrie, for all your work. I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much again, everybody, and thank you for listening this week. Until next week, please remember to make your beds and take your meds. Bye.